On the crowded streets of Indonesia's cities, electric vehicles are increasingly common. Despite a lack of charging stations, the EV boom is happening partly due to a push by Indonesia's government. Cleaning up the haze that engulfs cities like Jakarta is one motivation. Lifting the country towards greater wealth and development, another one.
Indonesia has been known as a commodity exporters, just like Australia is. And we want to make sure that that's becoming a history, not part of Indonesia's future.
While both countries send a lot of key minerals for batteries, mainly to China, Indonesia is increasingly processing the raw inputs first to create jobs and develop industry. During his visit this week, President Joko Widodo will push for Australia to get in on the electric vehicle action.
Maybe Australians are not very much thinking yet about producing their own batteries inside of the country because you don't have much population to care about compared to Indonesia. For Indonesians, for Joko Widodo, creating jobs, especially in the islands, for locals has been part of his promise.
Indonesia needs Australian lithium, and the two countries could control the global nickel trade with their huge reserves if they work together. Business leader George Iwan Marantika is in Australia for the presidential visit and believes an agreement on critical minerals will be announced this week.
Obviously, the minerals is a strategic element towards that, and that is lithium. Indonesia has nickel, so we can collaborate together on how to build an economic alliance.
The EV push is a rare bright spot for an economic relationship many view as underwhelming. Despite having close to 300 million people next door, Indonesia isn't even in the top 10 for Australia's exports or imports.
In terms of what is happening now, I think it's going okay. It could obviously increase, but there could be a saturation point. Let's say, from the commodity standpoint, from Australia to Indonesia, how much more can you go, right? In terms of the iron ore, the cattle, the beef. Yeah, I think we can increase here, but how much more?
Another area in for a potential boost is the defence relationship. In May, Defence Minister Richard Marles sought to push along an upgraded cooperation deal that Australia hopes could involve reciprocal base access as a sign of deepening trust.
We want to see greater opportunities for our defence forces to work together, to exercise together, to use each other's facilities.
But Indonesia is cautious to be seen to be taking sides on regional disputes. And analyst Dr. Dina Prapto Raharja says Jakarta has been lukewarm to Australia's plan to acquire nuclear-powered submarines from the US and UK.
The fact that Australia is developing trilateral defence collaboration with the US and UK presents another puzzle to Indonesia. But Indonesia hopes really that Australia will somehow remember that trust in the region is really, really important.
They first met as leaders after Anthony Albanese's election win last year and will likely see personal displays of mutual trust again this week in Sydney. But not for too much longer. Election fever is in the air in Indonesia, with 8 months to go before the nation votes to choose Joko Widodo's replacement.
Owing to Joko Widodo's enduring personality, the candidates vying to replace him are largely pledging to continue his legacy. That should mean stability for relations with Australia and the region, but Indonesian elections can be very unpredictable.
Nationalism is likely to feature strongly as the campaign heats up. But most believe a change at the palace in Jakarta shouldn't rock the boat with Indonesia's neighbours.
I would say, yeah, the future is quite bright for Indonesia and Australia, but we have to obviously work at it.